So, we got a couple of hose bibs here. So as a plumber, I really like the Woodfords because I can rebuild them.
Yes.
What can you not rebuild?
The American brass, or whatever the ones you get from Lowe's and Home Depot, the all aluminum ones,
Okay.
like the ceramic style ones,
Yeah.
the quarter turns, those are the worst to have in Utah.
Yeah.
Because our water's so hard, the scratches up those ceramic discs. And they keep on changing the bottom of them, the designs. We're
Okay.
on our 5th generation of the B&K.
Okay.
Ceramic.
B&K's ceramics. Okay.
The old prior hose bibs are still going around. They still have the stainless steel seat in the back, like the.
Which is what Woodfords have here.
Yep, the Woodfords, all Woodford valves have the stainless seat, steel
Okay.
seat in the back on all their models, the Model 30, the Model
And
27.
so that's
the
important
Model
because if it's
25.
stainless, the water's not going to wear it out.
Yes.
Right? But if it's brass, it's just going to wear a cavity in it,
'cause
just like the
brass
granite
is
can.
so soft.
Yeah.
Because back in the old days, you had to put lead in the brass to work with the brass because the brass was so hard.
Okay.
So they have to soften up the brass with the lead.
Okay.
That's why now all your brass is lead free.
What do they put instead? Tin?
Probably tin or something.
Probably tin inside of it?
That's why brass is so expensive now, because it's harder to machine, so it eats up the dies faster.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so with the old school valves, this is Teflon rope, right?
Teflon.
I used to carry that around in my truck for a pinch. Especially back when I was doing plumbing in Logan, we had a lot of rural communities, right? Didn't have a lot of shops to be able to go and get like a rebuild kit.
Rebuild kits.
And so we would rebuild a lot of stuff with that rope.
And we have that box kit that has all those different bib
Yeah.
washer sizes and O-ring sizes. Well,
I
you
think
got a
that we have
bib
a
washer
pinch.
to fix the bottom of it, but it's still leaking up by the handle, so you use the Teflon rope.
Okay, and
Then you
that's where you
repack
would
it
put
down.
it,
You-
put it right in here.
Yeah, and repack it back down, like you would on these Woodford. So right here, on these Woodfords, or any other type of stem, hydrant stem, your wall mount stems, like your shower valves, they'd have this packing nut. You wrap it around the shaft of the stem, repack it,
Crank it down.
and crank it down. And back in the old days, plumbers had shoelaces. They were made out of leather, and they had plumber's grease. So
Okay.
they put a little bit of plumber's grease on their shoelace and cut a section off and rewrap the stem. That's why they sold so many shoelaces back in the old days,
Really?
because they didn't have this stuff laying around.
That's crazy. I couldn't even imagine putting a shoelace in somebody's plumbing nowadays. I would,
Yeah, it's
Somebody
not
called out
common
a lot.
anymore. But
Yeah.
if you're in a pinch, that is an option. I mean, if you have no way to fix it,
a
I've
little bit of
actually,
leather.
old school plumbers, they still do it every once in a while,
Yeah.
because they know it works.
Yeah. Okay, so we got 3 different types of Woodford hose bibs here, right? We got Model 17, which is the most common one on people's homes.
Yes, they had the vacuum breaker on the top,
And then we got the Model 27, which I recommend for,
model 27 and 25.
and 25. So I typically put I recommend the 25 or the 27 on anybody if they have tenants or a commercial building, or if they just feel like they might be forgetful and leave that hose hooked on for the winter time.
Yes, because it has the auto drain in there, with these little holes right here, that's why. So when you go to shut it off, everybody hates shutting these off, because after you're done shutting it off, well, I guess I should put it back.
That's a left-handed thread though,
Yeah,
on those
it
guys.
is a backwards thread. And I haven't put it back together since I did a video on how I tore my neighbor's house. But when you go to shut it off, it sits back here, and it drains all the water out of this sweep hole here. So
Yeah.
there's no water trapped in this tube, causing it to freeze.
Which we get a lot of people calling us, they just bought a home, they have one of these, and they say, oh, my hose bib's broken. And then we show up and see that it's a Model 25 or 27, we're like,
And
no,
then
it's working.
they always call and
perfectly
tell
fine."
you, well, I go to shut it off and a bunch of water's leaking out of it.
Yeah,
It's supposed to drain out.
that's what it's supposed to do. And if it does that, it will never break. So that's why I put it on my back. I have tenants in the basement, and they have dogs, and so if they ever hooked up a hose to water the dog thing, I don't wanna have to deal with a broken hose bib, so.
Yeah,
I'm not
and
worried
they're
about
also
it
kind of
anymore.
nice and free in the winter time. They also have this type of vacuum breaker now for when you leave a hose on it in the winter. It has an auto drain, so it automatically drains if there's any water trapped in there in between here. It drains all the water out of here so it doesn't get trapped in the vacuum breaker.
That's pretty cool. So that's the difference between the 25 and the 27.
Yeah, this is the vacuum
Can
breaker.
you rebuild a 25 and create a 27?
Yes.
You can just upgrade.
And you can actually you can go back to the old 25 short vacuum breaker, or you can go to the longer vacuum breaker that has the built-in check
Okay.
to drain the water out of the line, out of the hose if you leave the hose on. Or if you get tired of that thing spitting at you all the time, they do make this adapter.
Good.
It just goes to a standard. There you go. You have to use a bolt head to see how it's hexed inside.
Yep.
So you got that hex inside there. You gotta use the back of the bolt head to tighten it up. I don't have a bolt head on me. And then what this does, it eliminates the vacuum breaker, so you no longer have water draining out of these holes. But here's the problem. When you put this on there, you gotta make sure you take your hoses off.
Yep.
Because now you have something that won't drain the water out of the system.
Yeah. Yep.
So if this is in a place that's warm in the house, and you don't want the water messing up all over the place, because you're gonna have leakage from here and here when you shut the sucker on.
Yeah. All right, and then what's the pitch on the Model 30?
So the Model 30 is a different design. It has a different gear design.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So on their design, they have these gear stems. And I think I over tightened it with a wrench.
Okay.
I did. But they have this gear design built inside here that moves up and down like the plunger. And this is better commercial because it has metal gears instead of the plastic worm gear like
Yeah.
Woodford has.
Okay.
It still has the same packing steel gasket, still uses the same plunger as the Model 25 and 27.
Okay.
The only difference is it uses a regular packing like you would find on a Model 17 or 19 or 14.
Okay.
Still uses that type of packing. And vacuum breaker's a little bit different. These are not that common here in the state of Utah. In Colorado, I see them a lot in Colorado, because that's where Woodford's made in
Okay.
Colorado. So it's made here in the US.
So I know that code requires it now, but this Model 17 is different. You brought up the Model 14. This has a vacuum breaker on the top of it.
Yeah.
Code now requires that we put these in Utah.
All hydrants have to have a vacuum breaker now.
But if you're worried about, and why do we put those on, I guess?
The reason why is because if you're leaving your hose on and something breaks down the line, it'll suck the water back up into the system, and that's why they call it an anti-siphon device. So none of the water gets sucked back up inside your house. So if you have chemicals on your other end of your line,
Like your fertilizers and stuff like that?
fertilizer or your Miracle-Gro, it doesn't suck the water back up inside your house.
And that's where people get poisoned with nitrates and all that kind of stuff. And so this is important because accidents do happen. If they didn't want to upgrade the hose bib, what else could they do to get a vacuum breaker on there?
They actually make a vacuum breaker that threads onto this side of the thread here.
Okay.
And then
And you guys sell those?
Yes, we do sell those separate. That's just a standard vacuum breaker. It has a garden hose thread by garden hose thread. So female thread
Okay. To male.
to male thread. Pause it.